Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Radio Havel with me, Edel, and my friend Jharna. So we are here in my place once again, and this time we decided to talk about a topic that I woke up thinking about. So I decided this probably is a sign from the universe, so to speak. So we have to discuss it. It is what we have learned from men. We are so quick to, especially after the Me Too movement, and after so many social justice warriors have come up with so many hashtags, so many movements on the internet. There is such an uprise of things that were unspoken being spoken about right now, and at the receiving end is always a bad man, and it's left me very confused because I don't hate men. I don't hate men. There's nothing inherently evil about them, but unfortunately that's kind of like the forecast, isn't it, of the day?
I also think it's because a lot of us have been exposed to men who have done bad
Without
things.
doubt, absolutely.
And I think we choose to look only at that aspect instead of seeing if there is something, that's on the other side. So even the good guys get a bad name because of the bad things that have been done.
Yes, and India is not famous for being woman friendly. It's notorious for, and then when you come across certain blogs that teach women travelers how to take care of themselves in a country like India, a part of us dies, and then if you want to, and recently there was this social media thing about this Kannada actress who was working out in Bangalore in a park and got accosted by another woman and moral shamed. So there's a lot of things that happen, and somehow in the end we clump men together into one mass, and it's so binary the way we see them. Yes, it's they are evil, and then there are good men, and the good men are obviously the minority because
And minority, and sometimes they're like there are no good men because
yes, all men are dogs. So hopefully, I want to speak to that quiet part of me that doesn't get voice most of the time, because the majority of the world is up at arms against men. And I want to say that a part of me feels a bit lost because that part of me identifies with what about the good? And I cannot. How can we live in a world that is populated by enemies? Like I can't see myself living like that. It's terrifying. It's terrible. So for our sake, and this is not an apologist video for men everywhere. This is not to promote manhood. No, this video I think is primarily for women, and it's also a call to arms and a challenge to look beyond that which is advertised all the time and see what are the amazing things that we've learned from men. So this video is about that. And Jharna, you had a small different perspective.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with that first?
So in my experience, I've had a lot of male friends from the time I was a child, and I think it was only when I turned 23, 24, I started making a lot more girlfriends, and then I realized I do get along better with women. And it also made me realize it was because I used to feel unsafe around the men that I knew for the most part of my life. But I would try very hard to get into their good books because somehow I felt like they have the power to make or break. I guess it was a very poor sense of self, and that came with the fact that, I'm a woman, maybe I can't do what men can do, and putting myself down because I wanted them to
Approve of you.
Yeah, approve of me. And also I think a lot of times I put myself down, put myself in place, because the majority of guys that I was friends with were people who were not very comfortable with a woman being a strong person who could have opinions. So I had to do that to myself in order to equalize the relationship. And because of that, I haven't given them the benefit of the doubt. If I could possibly learn something from them, I'm sure I try to look for it somewhere now, at least in the last maybe 2 months. I'm open to the idea that I could be learning a lot of things, especially since we started doing the goals, that we do every week. So because of that, I feel like, okay, maybe there's something there that I can tap into. But most of the times it's because I've been trying to one-up them, either by putting myself down or putting them down. So either way, it's been a power struggle. So for me, it's been a bit hard. But the people that I know now, it's a different relationship. There is a relationship of somewhat of an equality in terms of my opinions being heard, and if I give suggestions, I'm not just taken for granted. So maybe it's sort of, the scales are sort of tipping in the favor of me wanting to learn something.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's still something that I have to figure out. And I think this video will help me, because I'll be like, okay, now I can learn something.
Right. I'd like to start off by saying what I've learned from men. And this is not the shadow aspect, but the light aspect of entitlement, of being born and knowing what my right is. I find it intoxicating that for men, they don't have to think about it. I find it intoxicating. And just like how I've always admired people who speak a language that is not their mother tongue. Like, that's why I enjoy reading books by authors who are not born English speakers but learned English. And as a result, how they write is so, for lack of a better word, intoxicating. Likewise, I realize that when I learn entitlement and the right balance of it, and I walk into the world every day knowing that it's mine for the taking, the world is going to fall into place because I have set the rules for it. The way men seem to do it so unconsciously. I feel that when I learn to do it, instead of being born into it, I will somehow be better at it. Everybody who has to struggle to get something will be better at it than people who are born into it. So I hope to have the kind of entitlement men naturally have. The second one I would love to learn, and I see it and I watch it, is how committed men are to their professions. A profession comes first, and they marry according to it. They live according to it. Sure, the shadow aspect is a man gets completely derailed by just his profession, and everything else becomes imbalanced and asymmetrical as a result of. Somehow, I'm a doctor, so therefore I'm above all things. That kind of a mentality can come from your entire identity can get swept away by that one thing that you do. I hope I don't become that, and I'm making sure in my life not to become that. But the amount of focus, the amount of energy men allocate for their jobs and their careers is so admirable.
And completely unapologetic while doing that. It's that's another thing, right? Ambition.
Ambitious, yes. And I somehow ambitious is considered very unattractive in a woman. And it's sad. It's very sad. but I've learned to be that ambitious and goal-oriented and channel all my energy into my job because I see all men doing it. I've never seen one man ever say, "Oh, I'm married, I'm going to stay at home, and let my wife work. I'm going to stay at home." It's amazing how I want to, in my future relationships, in my future friendships, I want people to look at me and think, "Oh, she's going to forever be a doctor and she's going to die being a doctor. She's never going to not one moment not be a doctor." I want that to be attached to every fiber of my being. I want what I do be part of me and my identity so much that it goes without saying. Like how it is for men, where thoughts of, "Oh, so you're a father now. Does that mean you're going to stop work only 6 hours a day?" Nobody asks a man that. I want that for me. I want that for me. I want my work to be my world. So I want entitlement, be career focused, and third, it's not bravery when fearlessness. Yes. I don't think men are brave. I think they're fearless. I think you're brave only when there is fear and you overcome that fear, and then that's why you're brave. Fearless is an absolute absence of danger, right? For men, there is statistically, this is proved, the biggest cause of death. Okay, take Corona out of the picture. Okay, like the biggest cause of death for men is cardiac disease. For women, the biggest cause of death is men. Ouch. Yes, men kill more women than any disease ever did. And this includes in fact female infanticide even. So we're talking. So this is. And as a woman, I have resented. I'm so angry with the fact that I can't, walk out of the house at any time in the night without the fear of being accosted and making sure that I won't be, and having a friend by my side and being vigilant. So much of my energy is expended into this hyper alert, vigilant state because I also live in a country which, sad to say, not just our country, I think everywhere.
It happens a lot.
You face shades of victim shaming. So not only am I'm asked why I put myself in a place where I could possibly get hurt.
Why did you dress like this? Why didn't you have a male friend accompany you? If you do have a male friend accompanying you, why are you going out with a male friend? Now that is also a problem.
Yes.
So we don't really know what to do.
This is so ridiculous. So I used to feel so painfully victimized. And that's when I realized men feel fearless because they created the world we're living in. It's in their roots, it's under their jurisdiction. Yes. So therefore, they are fearless. Who's stopping me from creating a world that I can live fearlessly in? Who is stopping me? Nobody is. What I was doing is stepping out into a male world, speaking female logic, and trying to make them, asking them to change themselves to accommodate me. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work. If somebody did that to me, that won't work. Instead, I'm going to create a world where my rules work. And I'm going to live fearlessly in it. And these are the things that I learned from them. And as a result of learning this from them, I definitely feel empowered. And why wouldn't I learn that from men? They've done such a superb job. And hats off, and credit is due where credit is due. I'm giving you credit, Sure, there's a lot of terrible things, and I do know that the media magnifies it, and my own personal bias and my own personal traumas make me want to learn more about the bad things so that I can, my survival mentality wants to keep a catalog of ills
And justify what happened.
justify it so that I can keep myself safe from any future terrible thing from happening to me. But that is my survival instinct. It's not a woman against a man thing. It's not me against you thing. It is my duty to step out of my survival mode treadmill, and it is my job to learn from the best. And hats off. There is lots of terrible things, and yes, the feedback from the victims of the system is valid and has to be heard, and the world has to be made a better place.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've learned from you, and for that, thank you. What do you have to say, Jharna? What are the lessons that you have learned?
One lesson that I've definitely learned is wanting to be more ambitious.
Yes.
Because I used to be when I was younger, and I just chose not to do that because of the background noise about how you shouldn't be ambitious, or if you're ambitious, you can be ambitious to this extent on my terms and not beyond that, and in a very, very specific way. So now I realize I am ambitious and I like being like that.
Yes.
And it feels good to have ambitions. It feels good to know that I have a path that I can follow, and it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to do what I want to do. And that comes from that sense of entitlement as well, where you just say, I'm going to do this, and that's it. There's no questions to that. So being ambitious is a really good quality, whatever that means. It could be personal ambition, professional ambition, anything. I want to be ambitious, and I am working towards it, and I'm not going to apologize for that. So that is one lesson that I've definitely learned. And also another thing that I've learned is how the laser focus that they have when it comes to doing certain things, and I guess that also comes from a sense of feeling entitled.
Yes.
So yes, that is something I would definitely like to include more of in my life. But since I'm still just starting out in terms of what I'm learning from them, maybe I just need to spend a little bit more time understanding what makes them tick.
But it's so important, isn't it, Jharna, to not view them as masters and us as lower in the hierarchy.
No, yeah,
It's important to not feel victimized. It's not. I think the first thing we need to do is take ourselves out of the equation of the hierarchy, and also take us out of the equation of, I think I'm just going to stop reading and studying about the horrors that are meted out to women. This is not to say I'm not involved. If it happens to one of my sisters anywhere in the world, it's happening to me.
Yeah.
I get it, But I get that. I get what that does. I get what victimhood does. I don't know what. I can sit and cry with you endlessly, forever, and I've done it all my life. What else now?
Yeah.
What else? Where is the answer?
Because it's very easy to get stuck in that narrative.
Yes, and I am stuck. Stuck. And I don't know what to do. I'm crying for you. I hurt for you. I donate for you. I make sure I work hard for you. What more can I do? I can't hurt enough for all the women in the world. I want to. A part of me wants to, but it's endless. And what?
Yeah.
And I'm so tired.
And also what happens is when you start doing that, of course you get stuck. But it also leads to a downward spiral. It's not just being stuck, right? You start with something, and then there's there's a rabbit hole, and then what?
Yes. So finally, for the first time, I've decided to live for me.
And hopefully, when we start living for ourselves, we'll find that the world becomes a better place when we start becoming better people.
Yes.
It's not about trying to change someone else, we are part of the system, so we need to work on ourselves to make that change in the system.
Because I don't see men like what we constantly read about gang rapes, or at least I do. We don't see all the men standing in a corner, beating themselves in the chest, being so upset that one of their gender has done this horrible thing. They don't sit around talking about it, endlessly feeling ashamed, feeling disgusted. No, they get up, get on with work.
But I also feel that's because of how the patriarchy is already set in place.
Yes.
So it makes it a lot harder to break out of that system. But it's a good thing that is happening now. But it is, I mean, whether we want to accept it or not, it is harder for women to bring about that change.
Yes.
Because they are silenced into, like,
when have women had their voice, Jharna? It's so recent.
yeah.
It is so new,
Yeah.
and it's so recent,
Yeah.
right? And this is not a video for victims about perpetrators. We're talking about that not narrow, like actually a broad margin of people who are so afraid now. We have to be polarized. You have to be in the faction of the victims or in the faction of the perpetrators. Otherwise, who are you?
Yeah.
And I am straddling a huge, what I thought was a fence, but it's not. It is actually the middle path where majority of us are walking and living, and this is this huge avenue, and we don't know. We genuinely don't know. We feel like, oh, we're in the middle ground. We are supposed to be on one side or the other. And I don't want to be polarized because of my gender. Because I do feel sorry for a lot of men I do feel sorry for men. And then I feel so sorry for women. This is like a knee-jerk reaction because this is my flesh and blood. You know, I feel sorry for women. But not all men are horrible. This is not a video about men and women. It is about what men do and what women do. And the good that men do, that women too can do. And if we do the good things that men do well, hey, maybe we'll have a piece of real estate that we can call our own and be owners of. So I hope you learned something from this video. I know we're going to continue talking about it even after we shut it off. So thank you for joining us for an episode of Shred Your Halo. This is my best friend Jharna and Edel, and we put out videos once every 2 weeks, so please join us for the next fortnight where we'll come up with some thought-provoking topic and we'll talk about it. And if you like this video, please click like, and if you like us enough, subscribe and follow us. Thank you so much. Bye.